Welcome to r/IDOWorkHereLady, where we share stories about employees that are mistaken for customers. And for today, we have 3 fantastic stories. So subscribe, hit the like button, and here we go. The first story is, man refuses to let me write his information down. First of all, I'm on mobile, so sorry for the formatting, and English isn't my first language, so you'll have to live with the grammatical and spelling errors that I'm making. I'm slightly introverted, so I don't approach people. Last summer break, my father gave me an idea that I could help my aunt's clinic. I agreed, as this would be a great opportunity to learn how to interact with strangers. She runs a weight loss clinic. I went on the first day and asked what I could help her to do. Now, my aunt's clinic has 4 rooms. 1 is there for the staff, 2 are there for my aunt and my uncle, and 1 is there as a kitchen, where they have a person to serve water, tea, etc. to the guests, and make food if needed, as my aunt hates outside food. I was 15 at the time and it was pretty hot, and I generally don't go to formal places, so I went in cargo shorts and t-shirt. Later, I realized that I was supposed to wear formal clothes. I wore it starting from the second day. Anyways, my aunt shows me some cards and gives me a system to work on in the lobby. She explains to me that I have basically got to pick up calls for those who wish to meet her and message people asking for their diet, etc. Now, the work was easy, and she had a nice staff of 4 people. I knew all of them from before, as I had been to her clinic many times. Now, I am managing her schedule and everything goes well till 1 o'clock. Then a man, let's call him Ben, messages, and I see the message on the computer. Ben tells me that he has tried calling a few times, but the line is busy. I look at the landline and realize that I did not put it in its place. Now, being the type of introverted person I am, I message him instead of calling him. I tell him that it was my mistake that I forgot to put the landline in its place. He tells me to be careful next time and says that if my aunt is in her clinic, he would like to meet her and talk to her. He had gotten the clinic's number from his friend and wanted to start dieting. I said that ma'am, my aunt, will be in the clinic till 5 p.m., so he can come in whenever he likes. He says that he will be reaching in 1 hour. Fast forward 1 hour. My aunt realizes that she had to give some cash to one of the staff. She checked her purse and found that she was running short on cash, so she told me she'll be getting money from a nearby ATM machine to give it to one of her staff. Now, it's about 2 p.m., and it's lunchtime for the staff members. I ate something my aunt made at 12 p.m., so I was not hungry at all. The staff members get in the kitchen and start chatting. The kitchen is pretty far away from the main entrance and lobby, and you cannot hear things unless someone is talking loudly. Now, Ben enters a few minutes later. He's wearing pants and a blue shirt. He's pretty fat, about 110 kilograms, no offense intended, and looks about 40 years old. He looks around, sees me at the reception while I was doing something on the computer. So this is how the conversation goes. Me, stands from chair. Good morning, sir. How are you today? Are you Ben? Ben. Yes, my name is Ben. Where's the dietitian? Me. Ma'am has just gone out to withdraw some cash. She'll be here shortly. Ben. Okay. Sits down on the chair. Me. Grabs a form and pulls a chair to sit with Ben. Ben looks at my clothes and smirks. Me. I ignore it since I don't want to confront him. Me. So, sir, please tell me your full name, address, etc., etc. Ben. No, I just want to speak with the dietitian. You don't even work here. Snatches the form and the pen. Me. I do work here. Ben. No, shut up and don't annoy me. Me. I don't want a confrontation since I don't interact with people like this much, so I decide to ignore his attitude and the fact that he snatched the form and pen out of my hands. Ben fills in the form wrong, since the form is supposed to be filled for keeping a record. He just fills it however he likes. It has no instructions, since it's supposed to be filled by the staff. Me. His handwriting is pretty bad, so it's not readable. I can only make out a few words. Me. Sir, I'm sorry to say, but I cannot make out what you're writing. Ben, in a sarcastic tone. So? You don't even work here. Me. For the second time, I do work here, and if I'm not able to tell ma'am who you are and what you need help on, what you are allergic from, etc., she will not be able to help you. Ben. For the last time, kid, stop annoying me. You have no manners. I can confirm that you are effing illiterate and a school dropout. F off. Me. My heart rate is increasing as heck, and I have anxiety at its highest right now, so I just get up and go in the washroom to wash my face and review what just happened. After a minute, I go out to see that my aunt is just entering through the door. Now, I tried being cool, but I couldn't. Me. Grabs the card which Ben kept on another chair. Ma'am, this person is waiting for you. I will just explain his situation so that you can give him a diet. Aunt. Okay, come into my office. Me. Explains what happened. Aunt. This attitude is not okay. You should have said something to him and stopped him from shouting. Me. I didn't want to confront him. Aunt. Okay, come with me. I and my aunt go to the lobby, and my aunt starts talking with Ben in a commanding voice. My aunt is very nice, but can literally kill people with words if she needs to. Aunt, this boy is with me. He was helping me in the clinic. If you treat a kid like this, then you have absolutely no manners, and I cannot help people like you. Now you need to leave. Ben, but, Aunt, get up and leave. One more word and I am calling security. Ben, gets up, gives me an angry stare, and leaves. Aunt, drink some water and rest, then go home. You've helped me enough for your first day. Aunt starts to walk away, and then turns in my direction and says this. Aunt, also if someone is treating you like SH, kick them out. Me, nods. Aunt, good. I then go to the kitchen, where the other staff members are having their lunch. I drink some water and chat with them for a while. They told me that my aunt has kicked out many people who treated them as SH. The second story is, girls don't know anything about technology apparently. I was just there to look pretty. Not sure if this is the exact place for this, but going for it. For reference, I'm a 5'2" stick insect of a girl, who was 22 at the time, and also 6 months pregnant. I was working in a tech store. We sold computers, laptops, phones, music devices, Bluetooth speakers, cables, and so on. We also did lessons, where people could sit with us for an hour, and we would teach them about how to use their devices. Generally, this was taken up by older people, who weren't so tech knowledgeable. One day, there was no one in the store, so my coworkers decided to do a clear out of loads of junk in the back room. Since I was pregnant, and there was going to be heavy lifting, they had me manning the floor. Since there was no one in, this basically meant I was just floating about daydreaming until a guy comes in. The uniform was black jeans and a bright blue t-shirt, with the store logo on the front and back, and a white lanyard with the store name, and then worker's name on it. I was wearing this at the time. I go up to the guy and ask if he needs any help. He asks if there are any men available to help him. I tell him that whilst there are other staff in, they are currently busy in the back and will not be available to help customers for some time. I asked him what he wanted help with. He said, listen honey, you're in a delicate condition right now. I wouldn't want to stress your pretty head now, would I? WTF? I calmly told him that I would be perfectly fine dealing with his issue, but if he wanted to wait for another 2 hours, another member of staff may be available then. He smirks at me and then asks about one of the laptops on show. He tells me he wants a gaming computer. Not that you know anything about that, sweetheart. I then give my most jargon-filled speech about the laptop and point out that it's not at all suited to gaming, and that if he was set on a laptop, he would be best picking another model. I point out the one best suited to this, give a jargon speech about that one too, and then smile as sweetly as I can at him and ask him if he's still following. He seems aghast and actually gasps at me. I was trying so hard not to laugh at him. He asks how I know all that stuff. I tell him I've been gaming since I was 6 years old, build computers for fun, and have PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and a laptop for gaming. I know my stuff. There's a reason I was hired here. He says nothing for a moment, and then, but I thought girls in shops like this were just to make it look nice, and because they have to or something. No sir, I'm one of the most knowledgeable workers in the store, aside from the manager. Then he just walks out, and when he gets to the door, I hand him the leaflet we have for the lessons. If you need anything else explained to you, I'd be happy to help you figure it out, sir. And off he went. I was so peeved that he actually had the gall to speak like that to anyone, let alone a very hormonal pregnant person. God, I wanted to just rip him to pieces. He genuinely seemed to think I was only hired because of the laws of discrimination, etc. They had to have at least one female member of staff, and that I was therefore hired to attract male customers with my looks. I know sexism still exists, but I didn't expect to have it shoved in my face like that. The third story is, I'm clearly security. I'm not sure if this is the right sub to post this. If not, please direct me. Also, my first post ever. Here's a little backstory. About 3 years ago, I worked as security for a multinational shipping company. We'll call them Best X. Cast: M equals me, S equals my supervisor, T equals tow operator, TS equals tow supervisor, C equals cop. We had issues with non-employees parking in our lot and leaving vehicles while they carpooled to other jobs. There was a carpool parking lot on the other side of the road, but I digress. It had gotten to the point where employees and truck drivers weren't able to find parking. It became such an issue that eventually Ops and Security had a meeting and decided to issue parking passes that went into the windshields of employee vehicles, making it easy to identify who should be or not be parking. Security officers weren't required to get passes because we had our own reserved spaces. After about a month and a half, most employees had passes issued. We started tagging cars without passes with warnings, notifying that soon we would start having vehicles towed. There were a few employees who procrastinated getting stickers, but after the warnings, the rest of them got their passes. A few weeks later, we started having cars towed that didn't have the passes in the windshield. At this point, we had all the employees' vehicles in a database that we could check the tags. If a vehicle is parked illegally, I would call for a tow. Fast forward about 3 months, and we get to the purpose of this post. The towing company we contracted with to remove vehicles is in and out 3, 4, 5 times a day, so they're getting to know me. Apparently, they hired a new guy who took the initiative and decided to cruise our lot and check on vehicles. I come out to check the lot just as he's finishing hooking my car up. My car that is parked in a reserved space for security. Me, excuse me, who called for a tow? Tow, I cruised the lot to check on parking passes. This car didn't have one. Me, you aren't authorized to do lot checks. We call when a vehicle needs removed. Tow, it's already hooked, so nothing I can do. It's going to the impound. Me, no it's not, that's my car. Tow, it doesn't have a sticker. It gets towed. Me, security's vehicles are exempted because we have our own parking spaces. Tow, it doesn't have a sticker. It gets towed. At this point, I'm getting beyond peeved, so I call my supervisor on the radio and ask him to come to the parking lot. Supervisor, what's going on? Tow, this car doesn't have a sticker. It gets towed. Me, that's my car. I didn't call for a tow. Supervisor, sir, why are you here if you weren't called? Tow, I was checking the lot for parking passes. Supervisor, okay, but why did you hook a vehicle from the reserved space? Tow, it doesn't have a sticker. It gets towed. Supervisor, security's vehicles are exempted because we have our own reserved spaces. You need to release the vehicle. Tow, let me call my supervisor. He calls his supervisor and puts the phone on speaker. Tow supervisor, once the vehicle is hooked up, my drivers can't release a vehicle without payment. Supervisor, your driver has hooked up a vehicle illegally. We didn't call you. Tow supervisor, once a vehicle's hooked up, my drivers can't release it without payment. I'm fuming mad at this point, so I yelled, if my car's not dropped in the next 30 seconds, I'm calling the police. Tow supervisor, once the vehicle's hooked up, my driver can't release it without payment. Supervisor, how much is it? Tow, $135. Me, I'm not effing paying $135 to get my car back when it shouldn't have been towed in the first place. Tow supervisor, once a vehicle is hooked up, my drivers blah blah blah. So I'm done being patient. I call the police, non-emergency, and told them my car was in the process of being stolen. They dispatch an officer and hang up. Supervisor, tow, and tow supervisor all still talking while I was talking to the dispatcher. Me, cops are on their way, put my car down. Tow, I can't. My boss said to just wait for the cops. So we wait about 5 or 6 minutes, then a cruiser shows up. The cops come to me and ask what's going on. I tell him that tow showed up without being called and hooked my car for not having a sticker. I explained that security's vehicles were exempted since we had our own reserved spaces. I emphasized that tow was not called. Cop, sir, you need to release the vehicle. Tow supervisor still on speakerphone. Once my drivers hook a car, they can't release it without payment. Supervisor, you weren't authorized to tow this car anyway. Cop, sir, you need to release the vehicle. Without authorization to tow, you're committing auto theft. Tow, okay, I'll drop it. Tow supervisor to tow, do not drop the car without payment. Cop tells tow to hang up the phone. He does and then finally drops my car. Security is now required to have parking passes now too. Although, BX canceled the towing contract with that specific company. Let me just say, I hold no ill will toward tow. He was just doing his job. But if security tells you to drop a vehicle that you're towing from a business for which they're security, you should probably do so. Thank you for watching. Bye.